Do you ever find yourself getting frustrated while you're making something? Like when you're using a saw, a power saw, whether it's your table saw or your circular saw or maybe your power miter saw, and you discover that you've been cutting all of your parts out of square the whole time? Well, welcome to my world. So recently I've been commissioned to build some cabinets for someone. And to break down the larger sheet goods, I've been using my circular saw, which in this case is a Milwaukee 6365 7¼ inch circular saw. It's fairly old, but it's kind of a workhorse. It's definitely a beast of a saw, and it works really well until you reach the point where I am. Let me show you what's happening with my saw. If you own this saw, then you're familiar with how this saw works. You know that this knob here allows for depth of cut. You loosen this knob and you're able to set your depth of cut. There is a lever that allows you to tilt the bed of the saw at whatever angle you need, up to about 45 degrees, maybe a little bit more. Let me assure you that the lever that keeps the saw in the correct angle, in this case 90 degrees, and the knob that allows for depth of cut are both tight. What I want you to do is I want you to look right here and watch what happens. Now I've got the saw clamped down so that I can show you what's going on. You see that movement? That is what's causing my cuts to be out of square. That is a result of a gap right here. There's enough of a gap here that it allows the saw to move. And you may be able to see that. And that's what's causing all of my cuts to be out of square. That has to change. So now I get to spend time dicking around with trying to figure out how I'm going to make this not move like that so that my cuts can be square. Stick around. We'll learn together how to do this. I don't know if it's worth noting or not, but when the saw is at its maximum depth of cut, this surface here hits the handle here and greatly reduces that movement. Okay? But when you loosen the handle and the further you go in the depth of cut, in this case, I'm at about 7/8 of an inch. That's what I'm using on the 3/4 inch material that I'm cutting. Okay? And you can see the deflection. Now you can see the body of the saw move here, but you can see how much that's moving. Well, it gets worse. Okay, so that's full depth. That's no cut right there. Okay, that's no cut. So we'll put it here. Well, let's just put it at 1/2 inch of cut. And we tighten this. Look at this. Look at how much that moves. So that's definitely an issue. So let's take this thing apart and see what we can find out. Definitely have to clean all that dust out of there. Clean that up while I got it apart. You see, this surface right here is what rides up against this surface right here. So, I'm curious to know if there's any play in these rails here at all. Let's see. Okay, so upon further inspection here, I got this apart, and I can definitely tell that it is definitely more narrow here than it is up here. And so it appears as though this rail here has moved in, which is causing that gap. So I'm going to loosen these screws. They appear to be Torx screws. See if I can't move this rail over, solve the problem. Look at there. Sorry about my hand. Now let's just check something here. Grab my dial calipers, I'll be right back. All right, let's turn these on here. And let's get a measurement on this end here. Don't know how well you can see that, but 1 inch, 34 thousandths on that end. And you'll have to pardon me, I have to turn the calipers in a direction that you can't see in order to get this top measurement here. I'll do what I can. Let me see if I can scoot the camera back a little bit. And that is reading, oh, I'm going to have to come around the other side. Sorry, folks. Now see, this end here, up here at this end is reading 1 61 thousandths. That's pretty significant. In my opinion, those need to be parallel. And they aren't. 1 34 thousandths. And 1 61 thousandths. Yeah, that's enough to make a difference. It's kind of like, you know, if you're aiming at a target that's 100 yards away and your scope is off, you may miss your target by a foot in 100 yards. So it's going to project. It's going to get worse the further away you go. And that's what's happening here. So I got to figure out some way to make sure that these are in alignment. Loosen these up again here. Sorry about that, I keep bumping into you. Well, I'll tell you what. just take this rail off and see what's the boggle. See what's going on here. Well, I don't really see any kind of damage to the rail at all. This needs to be cleaned up. And I really don't see any kind of damage to this in here either. Slight burr. Okay. Let's check this out here. Up here on this end, we've got 1 inch, 73.5 thousandths. Then on this end, we have 1 inch, 73.5 thousandths. So I think that's going to be close enough. According to those dial calipers, those two rails are perfectly parallel. So let's start from there and see what else we have to do. All right, so that's pretty tight. That slips down on there, but it won't. That's pretty tight. So what I'm going to have to do is some fine adjustment. Okay, a little bit of fine tuning. Let's see where we're at now. So we've got 1 and 59.5 on this end. One and 62 thousandths on that end. I'm not going to mess around with it any more than that. Let's check the fit. Well, that's definitely a lot better than what it was. There doesn't seem to be any movement like there did in the beginning. No, there's no movement to that at all. Not like there was. Let's put the knob on. No, there's... I tighten that knob down. There's no movement whatsoever. No play in that at all now. So in the machinist industry, we would call that a slip and no slop, where everything just slips together. There's no play in anything. Okay. Well, let's see. The true test is going to be making a cut, right? So let's clamp this up the way that I had it before and see if there's any play at all. All right, let's loosen the knob here and set it. And see what happens here. Okay, I've got this raised up so as if it were going to make about a 3/4 inch cut, which is close to where we would have it if we were going to be cutting through some 3/4 inch or some 1/2 inch wood. So let's see if we can reproduce what was going on before. So I'm going to zoom in here. And again, we're looking at this spot right here because that's where it seemed to be most noticeable. You can see it the most. So let's see here. The lever for the tilting mechanism is tight. The knob for the depth of cut adjustment is tight. Let's see if we have the same thing going on. There is no movement in there at all. Nothing like there was before. Nothing. All right. Now for the moment of truth. Let's make a cut. And I need that. All right, so let's compare. This is some material that I cut earlier, and I don't know how well this is going to show up. I don't have a $1,500 camera to really get you in there real close, but you can see that that's definitely not square. Okay. The piece I just cut is this one right here. And there is no play in that at all. Okay? None. So, those rails were the issue. I'm glad I didn't have to do a whole lot of crazy things. But, little TLC, we're up and running again. So hey, if you own one of these saws and you're having that same problem, the solution that I came up with might work for you. I hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, hit that like and subscribe button, ring that bell, get the notifications. That way you don't ever have to miss out on content. I'm not posting like I used to. I was posting quite a bit there for a while. Kind of slacked off a little bit, little things here and there. I hope this helps. We'll see you in the next video.